Today, I want to talk to you about how I practice not cleaning my house. You heard that right. Not cleaning my house. And one of the biggest things that keeps people from becoming fluent. Welcome to English Coach 3Ts. I'm Tanya. And I was talking with the women in She Speaks this morning, and I shared this statement with them, and they thought I was kidding. They thought I was joking, and I'm not joking. Now, don't get me wrong. I do clean my house, but I actually had to take time to practice not cleaning my house, because if you were raised like I was, or anything similar to like I was, which was one of the things that shows your culture, who you are as a woman, is how you keep your house clean. Now that is changing here in the United States, but still, so many of us spend a lot of time cleaning our house, which there's nothing wrong with that, but so many of us spend a lot of time having stress about how clean our house is, or what other people think about how clean our house is, or what our house is like, so many of those kinds of things. So today, I wanted to talk a little bit about how I practice not cleaning my house, because when I spend less time having stress about that, less time doing that all the time, I have more time for things like crocheting, more time for things like learning English, learning my second language, and generally enjoying life. So I want to talk about a few things that have helped me. And like I said, I do enjoy having a clean house, but I've learned a couple of ways that make it easier to clean my house. And I've also learned a couple of things to help me to have less stress about cleaning my house. So let's talk about the things I've learned about how I can clean my house in a way that takes less time. First, you may know, or maybe you don't know, that when my girls were very small, about 1 year old and 4 years old, I actually cleaned houses for a living. I had, as you may know from a video I did recently, which I'll link up above, gone to school to be an architect. I had worked in the field. A number of things had happened that caused me to leave that profession. And then when I had my children, I was in a financial situation where I needed to earn money while I was with them all of the time. And so I actually cleaned houses for other people and took my two little girls, like I said, 4 years old and 1 year old, with me. And I used to kind of make a joke about that, saying that I would clean the houses, and as fast as I would clean the houses, they would unclean the houses. That's not totally true, but it was kind of a juggling act. Juggling, when you have 3 balls that you throw up in the air and you're trying to keep all 3 balls going. We use this idiom when something is difficult to do, and we say it was kind of a juggling act to clean the house with 2 little girls. And so I learned some ways to clean more effectively that took less time. One of the things I learned is to let go of perfection. I know this sounds like, oh my gosh, Tanya, that is not helpful at all, but it really can be helpful to take little steps bit by bit to let go of perfection, because what I found is the way I thought a house needed to be cleaned and doing a good job as opposed to a perfect job were both very much appreciated by my clients. For them, they didn't see the difference between what I thought was a good job and what I thought was a perfect job. Why? Because often what we think is perfect is over the top. We say something is over the top when really what we mean is it's just too much. So I would ask myself, okay, I was taught to clean this in such a way that it would be perfect. What if I cleaned it so that it was done well? Is that really different than what I think is perfect? So that was one thing. Another thing that I learned was to clean as I go at home. Because while I was cleaning other people's houses, what I learned and saw is that little things that could have been done through the week, just little things, would make their lives so much easier. Because I came to clean their house, not to organize it, not to do all of those things. So I learned that doing some little things bit by bit, instead of thinking of doing a project, an organizing project or cleaning project or anything like that, would be helpful. And at home, instead of cleaning my whole house at once, which may be something you like doing, but if you don't, cleaning my house bit by bit became something that seemed like I didn't have to do much at all, because when I was cleaning other people's houses, cleaning my own house felt like a terrible idea. But the real meat and potatoes of this video, or the real heart of the video, the main point of this video, was when I learned how to not clean my house. And I know it sounds crazy, but it kind of goes with that perfectionist thing, that sometimes there are things we can just let go of. And I'm going to share some pictures with you of the reality of my house. You see things in my videos because I tidy up around myself before I film a video. But the reality is my couch over there isn't always cleaned off, and that's okay. So one of the things that I do is I give myself a little bit of time for tidying, and then that's it. After that, I need to do something to work on my second language, spend time with my family, do something that's relaxing like crocheting. And I make this a point in my life. In other words, I make it important. I make sure that I do it. Instead of having cleaning house up at the top of the list of something that's important, I've put other things that are actually more important to me up at the top of the list. This is knowing what you value, knowing what's important to you versus what's important to the people around you. This is one of the things we've been talking a lot about in our She Speaks Fluency program, because really knowing what is most important in your life is a huge part to making time for those things. It sounds very simple. And yet, when I learned to be a coach, when I went to coaching school, I learned that most of us think we know what's important to us, but few of us actually know what's really important to us. And so one of the things that I have included in the She Speaks program is a couple of different ways that we talk about this and find out what it is that's really valuable to you, what is most important to you, what we would call our morals and values. So how do you do this? One thing you can do to take a step in this direction is write down a list of the things, the top 10 things you think are most important to you. Things like your family, things like your health, things like your career, things like that. And then once you get a list of those 10 things, see if you can put them in order from 1 to 10. This is a good way to start this. If you would like help with this and how you can become more fluent without wasting time and without doing things that don't work, I have created a free class for women who have an intermediate to advanced level of English. If you would like to sign up for this free class, I'll put the link in the description below so that you can click there and sign up for free. Now that you have a list of the things that are really important to you, I'm curious what number on your list of the things that are most important to you is a clean house. I can tell you that for most people, a clean house is not even in the top 10 when you think of some of the really important parts of life, like our family, our friends, personal freedom, those kinds of things. Love, peace, serenity, joy. This isn't to say that having a clean house isn't important. I know that it is more important for some people than others. And for me, it used to be a very, very important thing. But one of the things I've learned by practicing taking time to do other things instead of always making sure my house was perfectly clean is that it's actually okay if there are dishes in the sink. It's actually okay if everything is not tidy and put away. It's actually okay if my floor needs to be swept and it still needs to be swept tomorrow. It's okay if the clothing that is coming from the laundry is not folded right now. And it's okay if my bed is not made perfectly. I, for one, have learned through this process that I really do like to make my bed every morning. It's something that just brings me peace of mind. I think because I have such a small house, and when I see my bed, which is kind of a large part of my house, made, and typically it's made with a quilt that I really like, then it gives me a feeling of order. So that's one of the things I do each morning. It takes me just a couple of minutes. But I can tell you this, I don't make it perfectly. I just don't. I used to. I was taught how to make my bed in a way that's like what we call a hospital bed. I don't know if they really do that at hospitals, but I was taught to make my bed to look perfect. And now it's kind of made in a sloppy way, and that's okay for me because mostly it's made. Maybe there are a few things in your house that you could let go of. Maybe there are some of the things that I've listed here or some other things that you can think of that you could practice letting go. Maybe just a little. You don't have to take big, giant steps towards this. Maybe you could just let go a little. Because to be honest with you, I've been practicing this for quite a while, and it really was difficult for me at first. At first, not cleaning my house was more stressful for me than just doing it. And now, over time, I've found a balance where my house is mostly clean, but I'm not spending a ton of time doing that. Why is this so important? One of the biggest things that keeps people from being fluent is a lack of confidence and stress. I bet you can relate to at least one of those. And building your confidence and reducing stress in your life is essential to making time for becoming fluent. And not only that, for being able to do what it takes, for being able to do the things you need to do to become fluent, like talking with other people, like speaking when you're feeling nervous and scared and afraid. And so taking time to look at these things in your life, like what is valuable to you, how much time you spend on things like cleaning the house and doing things that aren't getting you to your goal, is really, really an important part of the process. Furthermore, it's also really important in our lives to have time for doing things that help us to relax, like for me, crocheting. For you, it might be something else. I have a few things that help me with this. Crocheting is just one of them. Hiking and spending time in nature is another one. Spending time with my family and my friends is really important to me. And making time for all of these things so that my life is balanced, and most of the time I feel peace of mind and serenity, makes it possible for me to work towards those other goals in my life. So what I like to do with my students is give them one concrete thing that they can start doing. That means one thing that you can start doing right now and you don't have to think about it. That one concrete thing that I'd like to give to you is think of one thing that you like to do to relax or enjoy life. And then I want you to also think of how much time you think you would like to give to cleaning your house, and see if you can reduce that by just 15 minutes. And take that 15 minutes to spend time doing something relaxing. If that seems like a total waste of time for you, then you can use that 15 minutes to work on your English, to practice speaking, or to practice reading or writing or whatever it is that's most important to you. And if you're looking for a video to keep practicing your listening skills, I suggest you look at this one next, and I'll see you there. Bye.